let's start with group programs. Why are group programs so impactful? What is it about group programs that I love, that many other coaches love? What are the benefits of them? Well, there are so many benefits. When I began doing group coaching 3 years ago, was my first group, I had the experience that I wanted to give a group an opportunity to connect with my work, but also an opportunity where I could not only coach, but also teach. You see, teaching was a passion of mine. Teaching and training was a passion of mine, as is coaching. So one of the things that inspired me to run a group program at first was to mix everything that I love to do. I could teach, I could coach, I could mentor, I could consult. For me, that was the perfect opportunity to mix everything that I'd learned, everything that I loved, and put it into a program. So that was one of the first benefits, was that for me, it wasn't a purely coaching experience. Now, for some of you, it may be, and that is okay as well. For some of you, it may be purely teaching. When you're in the coaching world, it's difficult not to coach and to mix it with some of the others. So for me, it was just a great way to say, part of this program is I'm going to teach, I'm going to share my experience, my wisdom, my insights. I'm also going to coach you, and then I'm going to mentor you. So it was that whole mixture of stuff that I love to do. So that was one of the key reasons why I decided to do it. But the incredible thing about group program as well is that when you run a group program, you're reaching more people with your message. So you're beginning to build an audience of people who know, like, and trust you. Not only that, but let's say my first group program was 8 people. You're reaching 8 people as opposed to just one, like in the same amount of time you would spend in a session. So my sessions in my group program lasted between 90 minutes and 2 hours. And I would be spending that time, rather than one-to-one, I would be spending it with 8 people. So automatically, you're reaching more people. Automatically, you're building an audience of people who know, like, and trust you. Now, those 3 terms are well known in marketing. You get people who know, like, and trust you by serving. And serving authentically. Listen, anyone that's ever been in a program with me, or anyone that's ever worked with us, it's got to come from the heart. So the group program allows you to connect with an audience that know, like, and trust you, to develop the relationship further with them, and then to share with a group of people in the same amount of time a one-to-one session would, powerfully, to give them insights. Now, another huge benefit is that those individuals, whether it's 5 people, 8 people, 20 people, however many people you want to bring into your group program, those individuals ultimately then become an organism in themselves. Now, anyone who's ever been part of a group program before will know it is a powerful experience to go through a length of time, a program with another group of human beings who are like-minded, open-hearted, who are on a path of personal development and self-discovery and self-realization. You will know that when you go into a group program, not only do you thrive and learn more from the people that you're with, but you encourage, you support. So the group program in itself raises the vibration of everyone else that's in it. And it also helps people feel safe and trusted and supported to go beyond what they even thought was possible. So this is a huge benefit of group programs. Has anyone attended a group program before? Give me a hands up if you have. I can see a few hands going up. Amazing. Georgia, I just seen you coming in. Lovely to see you. So group programs just do something magical. And our role as the person that hosts a group program is to make sure that, as much as possible from when we start, that we build the trust and the intimacy in the group. That is essential. Those first few weeks, even in the lead up to the group program launching, you want to connect with people. You want to find out about them, who they are. You want to find out what they're going to do when they face resistance or when they feel triggered. You want to know all of this stuff before you launch your group program. So all of this, and again, I'm going to share more info on this later in the week. I'm actually going to give you guys templates that you can play with. I'm going to give you a pre-coaching questionnaire that I send out to all my groups before I run them. You can use them, you can play around with it, you can change the questions, you can do what you like with it. But it's a process of building trust, of understanding more about that group so that you can create alignment. And when you create alignment within the group will fly, the group will thrive. And alignment is built on trust and intimacy. So that's another benefit of the group. They come together, they form this unique relationship with one another. You nurture that connection and that community. You nourish that. You build trust. You make people feel safe. You create the space that is safe for them. And then the group itself almost becomes self-sustainable, becomes like an ecosystem within itself. Now, I mentioned earlier another benefit, that when you're working with 8 people over the same amount of time that you'd work with a one-to-one, you will likely increase your fees. You'll increase your revenue because you'll have 8 people buying into your group program versus a one-to-one. Now, you'll also be gaining potentially greater amount of revenue, but for working less time, as opposed to working with 8 individuals one-to-one. You work with 8, but in the same amount of time that a one-to-one session would take. Now, that's not to say that we just stop one-to-ones if that's your thing. I love one-to-ones. I still run a busy one-to-one practice. But at the time when I launched my first group program, I had 25 one-to-one clients. I was almost burnt out. I remember working with my mentor, Brian. He said, "How many clients do you have, Alistair?" And I went, 25. And he went, "Holy shit." He was like, "How are you doing that?" And I was like, "I just love coaching. It's just what I do." And he said, "But you're going to burn yourself out." He said, "Have you thought about a group program?" So the seed was planted, and I had the benefit of being in a group program with Brian and 7 other coaches at the time, called it Level 7. And Brian Franklin was my mentor, top executive coach from Silicon Valley. I spent time with him, and I seen the power of a group program. I seen how much it accelerated my development. And all of these things that I'm saying to you, these benefits, take these down, because this is going to make up part of your pitch to your potential audience, to your potential members of your group program. You can share with them all of this stuff, how they're going to be supported, how there's going to be trust and intimacy, how they're going to be aligned with one another, how they're going to help each other to go beyond what they thought was even possible, how they're going to support and challenge one another, how they're going to cheerlead each other, how when they meet resistance, they're going to have a group of people around them who say, "That's okay. That's okay that you're struggling right now. In fact, it's normal. It's normal during group programs, like it is a coaching experience, for people to go through challenges, for people to lose confidence." And all of this stuff, when you can tell the group that up front, when you give them placement, we would call it in Mindful Talent, you're helping put their minds at ease, but you're also helping to prepare them for those moments when resistance does show up, when the insecurities and the self-doubt does start playing and running through the mind. So all of these benefits that I'm listing are important for you to talk about the concept of group programs with authority and with certainty when it comes to building your own group program. Does that make sense, everyone? I'm going to just look down, and I can see Natalia's yes and love heart. Cool. I wish I could see more of your faces. I'll try and work that out for next time. So that is, these are some of the benefits. Now, another benefit, before I don't forget this one, and I'm kind of going off the cuff here, right? I've got little notes down here, but I'm just going with the vibe. So another benefit that comes from a group program is that, one, your coaching one-to-one fees will likely rise following doing a group program. I.e., what it means is that your time, if you like, is more exclusive when it comes to offering one-to-one sessions. So what you're beginning to create in your business, in your coaching practice, is multiple ways of working with you. Now, there are so many advantages to this. One, you're making your coaching more accessible to more people. So whereas a group program may cost the individual not as much as your one-to-one, so a reduced rate, it gives them the chance to work with you if your one-to-one fees or your one-to-one practice is fully booked or your fees are too big. Now, subsequently, that has a knock-on effect in the other way. It means that usually your fees or the exclusive nature to work with you is also enhanced and increased. Does that make sense? So you become the expert, you become the person that is running these group programs. The fees are more accessible for people to join. And over time, it means your one-to-one practice is more valued. That becomes the exclusive offer within your, what we describe as your product matrix. Okay, now for those who are just starting out, I'm sharing a lot of information, so don't worry if a lot of this is, too much, or there's, there's a lot of kind of info coming at you and you feel overwhelmed. If that is the case, it's okay. Take away the parts that resonate with you today. And again, I'm going to be answering questions, throughout this, but also in the Facebook group. But over time, and what I wish I'd been taught from day one, 5 years ago, when I qualified to be a coach, I wish I'd been taught to think about how I can diversify my product by offering things like group programs, one-to-one, courses, potentially memberships like the one that we're in. So 5 years ago, I never had someone to tell me that. Brian became my mentor, but it was only upon the group program mention 18 months in that I began doing that. So what I'm teaching here is that group programs is one other product, if we want to call it that. It's another way to work with you. And over time, without doubt, you'll generate and create new products, which again allows you to be more accessible, but also allows you to be more exclusive when it comes to your one-to-one practice. Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah? Okay, cool. So there are so many benefits to group programs. The ultimate benefit is that the individuals who you work with get sacred time with you and with a group of other human beings who are on a similar path. Never underestimate the power of that alone. As coaches, we tend to put all the pressure on ourselves to show up and deliver. Anyone feel that? Anyone ever put the pressure on themselves? I'm seeing some hands go up. Never underestimate that simply by helping to create a safe space where the alignment is experienced in the group, never underestimate the power of that alone. Honestly, we always think we've got to fit so much in, we've got to have a detailed structure of everything we're going to teach in a session. But when you bring 8 human beings together, I'm using the number 8 because that's the number of people that I bring into my group programs. But whether it's 10 or 15, never underestimate how impactful even being around other human beings who are looking to progress, who are looking to advance themselves, who are looking to realize more of their potential, that in itself will change. That in itself will change the other people in the group. We just have to show up and be our unique selves and trust the process that already through forming a unique group like that in a group program is going to have an impact. Jim Rohn was famous for saying you're the average of the 5 people that you spend most time with. Well, imagine you're bringing a group together and they're spending all this time in with each other. What's going to happen? People are going to model one another. They're going to learn. They're going to model you. They're going to see how you show up. Most people that I've worked with in my group program 3 years ago have now went on to create very successful group programs, including my sister and Jill Ritchie. If anyone knows Lynette and Jill Ritchie, wow, their programs are flying. They were 2 of my original members in my first ever group program. That's how they kind of met and came together. They actually met on LinkedIn and then they found themselves in the same group program. And now they're going on to serve hundreds and hundreds of women. How amazing is that? So never underestimate just even bringing a group together, what impact that's going to have. Does that make sense to everyone? Cool. Do you have any questions at this stage? If you do, pop them into the chat function. I'll get to them at the end, but I just want to give you a moment to think if there's any questions on your mind that you want to type in, that you want us to revisit as we get to the end of this.